Hello, hello. Black screen, no volume. No volume? Have you got volume now? Have we got volume? Do we have volume, anybody? Can you hear what I'm saying? Hello. Excellent. Thank you for that. So lots going on. Lots indeed. It would appear we are to watch out for signs of China's announcement in the first quarter of next year, announcing the end of the petrodollar and the birth of the blockchain currency system. So that's been touted amongst the economists and financiers that are starting to see this, which would explain fully the fiasco just had in Afghanistan, would it not? Where billions of tons of hardware are now in the hands of crazy people. Crazy people. It does make you wonder whether this Mackinder game is something that's actually been formed for a very long time. That the land power will be up in what people see as Tartaria or Siberia, all that big landmass is actually going to be sort of the centre of this new system. It's interesting. And it looks like Russia, to me, from Second World War, has been a complete block between anybody this side of it onto America have any idea what's been going on at the other side of it, all the way on up to the end of Siberia and down to China. It's just so much strange going on. So we are to be ready for China to announce the end of the petrodollar and the rise of the blockchain currency or exchange. Not really currency, is it? This new form of exchange, the blockchain system, promoted by Mr. McAfee, when in fact the blockchain system is the system by which no form of exchange will go unnoticed. So, you've got to look at it that way as well. That was his main thing, McAfee, bringing up the blockchain. So one does wonder whether he's actually departed this life or just moved back in, having gained his pass, serving his purpose, perhaps. I don't know. So we can understand now better why. So everything's been handed over to the new corporation that is called China. And this entourage running the US at the moment is an absolute abomination, let's be frank. To match our abomination here in Blighty, and with the blonde bombshell and his crew, which brings me to a very interesting bit of data that somebody sent me today. Let me just have a look here. So, anybody heard of the Global Health and Wellness Consortium, GHWC? It says of itself is the leading global health authority registered in the National Archives of every nation. The date of this ratification, HR 616847221, is July 2021. So it would seem they've ratified this bit of data. And it says effective immediately. It says unidentified biological waste has been found in the bug shot. Of course, I'm abbreviating. We know what it's saying. Proving to cause injury and or death. The bug shots in all forms, containers, brand names, and delivery methods are biohazardous medical waste. Stockpiles of these vaccines held by doctors, hospitals, manufacturers, and storage facilities must be disposed of in an alignment with state guidelines. The shots are part of the following categories of biohazard waste, blah, blah. Human anatomical pathological specimens, human tissue, bodily fluids, and that may contain pathogens, liquid cultures, and specimens that contain or may contain biohazardous pathogens. So this goes on. It's giving orders, it says, to all these nations that have a copy of this authority, the Global Health and Wellness Consortium. And as you move down, you're thinking, oh man, this looks quite groovy, even though I've never heard of these people. So then you go, well, who is this GHWC? And so bang, we go to the website, the Global Health Security Consortium. And straight away you think, yep, it's just your standard. And then you're going, oh, wait a minute. Now, this is where it gets a little bit worrying, because it says, Tony Blair Institute for Global Change. Anyone remember him? Yeah, that's a mass murderer, a complete nut job. And Lawrence J. Ellison Institute for Transformative Medicine of USC. So it's big in itself. It's a consortium. Latest work, it says the first report from the consortium offers a new approach to global genomic sequencing and surveillance. Okay. Our second report sets out an ambitious proposal to strategically vaccinate the world against the bug in 2021. And the consortium's third report examines the vaccine absorption capacity challenge and proposes a framework to help countries administer more doses. So on the one hand, it's the Tony Blair Institute, the Ellison Institute for Transformative Medicine, and a network of researchers at the University of Oxford, which provides academic rigor and scientific evidence to the work of the consortium. Well, that's a black and a half, isn't it? It's like they've grabbed all our universities, this pseudo-scientific cult, or the bug cult, as I like to call it these days. So let's just have another look. So that's the Global Health Security Consortium, and here we are. The Global Health and Wellness Consortium. Are they part of the same? What is this? So they could say two different companies. So you've got one saying get rid of them immediately, that claims to have registration in many countries. And then the security one wants to do the entire opposite. And Mr. Tony Blair. Yeah, they keep bringing him back, don't they? He's just not going away, that fella. Well, as I remember, he is the Schley of Lord Levy, who is very close to the Mandelson, who was or maybe still is, the eyes and ears and mouth of a Mr. Jacob Rothschild from his headquarters in Corfu. That's as I remember pretty much the power structure from Tony Blair's mentor side. Of course, Mr. Brown was the chief Marxist communist and sold all our gold. How lovely. Well, he was supposed to be a clever lad, apparently, weren't he, for finance, I believe. He was picked up as amazing for finance. And he sold our gold. And then just after it went, toof, we wouldn't have had any problems at all, would we, if he hadn't sold the gold? Surely we can hold him responsible for that. Bad practice? Malfeasance in public office? Robbery? Because they did it in front of us, so it's definitely robbery. It's not so much a theft, it's blatant, in-your-face robbery on the television. So, China, keep your eyes out for that, because, of course, it's not without reason that this facade has happened in Afghanistan. Nobody makes such stupid blunders. It's just ridiculously impossible. Nobody would make a blunder. That has to be a planned move for whatever reason. Well, we can guess the reasons, but we will be guessing, won't we? So Yeah, we have a few more things to cover, but I think so we don't get lost in. I'll have a look at what anybody asking any questions, because of course the good thing about the live stream is people can actually take part, can't you? It's like it's not just me gobbing off of my little perch, and you can't pull me to task. Here, at least you can pull me to task and call my names if you like. I don't really mind. Right, I'm here. There you are. Yes, loud and clear. Yep. Okay. Merrill. Oh yeah, I remember that. Now that's an old. I haven't did that for a long time. I haven't did that at all for a long time. I've just never heard anything from it. That were big back in the day when Alex Jones had this so-called insider on all the time, telling us all about what the petrodollar were really all about, how it was started, etc., etc. No, I can't remember his name. We were past it. You might remember him probably 12 years ago, 13 years ago, and he had a slot there every month, and he'd bring in inside information. So that's when the Mero were being planted around, etc. But it just doesn't look like that's the case. But it does make you wonder what they're actually going to do with the Federal Reserve System, because it pretty much controls all the Western nonsense. So it's interesting. I don't know. Hello to everybody. Good day from Australia. Oh my God, guys, what in the hell is happening in your pad? So let's get it. This is what's happening in Australia that you're not getting on any of your newspapers, and you're not getting it on any of your television, and you don't appear to be getting it on social media. But when the truckers on the 31st, they'd already said weeks before that they were going to do this, that they were going to blockade to take their country back. And a lot of people think it didn't happen, and it never actually went on, but it did. It really did go on. But what they actually did is completely take over all social media platforms. They were posting posts on their things, removing posts, and blocking all messages. So there were no chat about it on the now stolen electronic grapevine. And that's what they did, which is interesting because at the beginning of the week just gone, I got on my face ache, and I know I haven't put this up because I put it up about 3 weeks ago, and then people were saying, "Oh, we've sent money to this thing and it's not giving us." It was about natural remedies, and they said we sent money, and they're not actually getting nothing back. So I took it off. I thought people have had a look; they can see, don't send your money to it, because it sounded great, and there's a lot of advertisements about it on Facebook. But apparently, you're not getting anything back for your money. So I let everybody see that, and then I took it down. Then, lo and behold, it's all appeared brand new, and I'm thinking, well, I didn't put that up. So I just put, who the hell's put this up? Yeah, and left that there for maybe towards end of week. I took it down, and I just thought, and then I saw this Australian thing, and I thought to myself, oh, is that what they're playing at? So we've learned a hell of a lot, while the Aussies suffer a hell of a lot, because people are scared out there, really frightened. If they suck it into television, they're petrified, because what the powers that these numpties are picking up now are just a bit ridiculous. I think one guy said that you can now CCTV can now capture the spread of the bug. So CCTV. So if you're at a pedestrian crossing, apparently, or at a checkout at a supermarket, the CCTV can now watch it, and then you see how other people look. I just couldn't believe it. And these are people in suits, by the way. Talk about inversion. Once upon a time, even lies were very well crafted, and they always had a suit on, which was a lot more believable. But today they have a suit on, and the primary school children, it's just blatantly obvious to me and a lot of other people. But apparently, if you're stuck in TV land, that isn't the case. It's just lap it up. So the Aussies are going through hell at the moment because there's a low uptake, and they're bombarding them and battering the living daylights out of them. But what's coming through now is how they're using their ability to just completely take over all your forms of communication. Messages, video shows, Instagrams, all these platforms where everybody's set up their networks to communicate. They took it all over on that morning so that none of the truckers could communicate amongst themselves by the normal channels, but especially out to all the supporters. How's that for clever? Yeah, I mean, they're a long way down now with this technology that they can do that. And as I've said, I had an interesting and bizarre thing early in the week, and now I'm thinking to myself, well, there we go. I mean, they're all over mine anyway, you know. They completely. I mean, to be fair, these days they don't tend to interfere with outside of. They don't let people friend it, which I don't mind anyway, because too many friends on a Facebook and you just get gobshites talking nonsense, and then you've got to respond, haven't you? It's a bit sad, really. So less is better, is more, in my opinion. So yeah, Aussies. Oh, don't worry. We see, we know, we can see what's going on, and we'll make sure that it gets out, because that's quite worrying that they have that capability now, and obviously that's what they've been testing in Oz. So if that's what they're doing now, that's the next raft of nonsense. If they try and do it again, if what a stupid word, they're gonna try. It's down to whether you lot out there now and happy not wearing your nappy on your face, because you can breathe again now and see the light. But then again, if television goes, ooh, you'll go, maybe. So I'm not holding much hope, but I do know there's a lot more people now that are resolute in that, well, this is just not good. So back to what's going down here. So yeah, Aussies, you're not going unnoticed to what's going on over there. An episode tied to 2025. Well, I'll tell you what I have been noticing as well lately, because I've come across a couple of bits of data in relation to astrological timeframes. The ones I've picked up so far, because you've picked up one here on 225. I don't know whether it's got an astrological side to it, but you've got 2023, which is very important, and we know it's important because this whole experiment goes on and ends then. And then you've got another one in 2024, each being extremely interesting in and of itself, to be frank. So just let me, I'll have to knock this off. So the first one to come, oh no, sorry, wait a minute. Yeah, that's it. Right, no, wait a minute, where have I got it? Here we go. Somewhere up here. Here we go. So this is in relation to when Pluto enters Aquarius. Big things go down, as it were. I mean, of course, Pluto she's the great revealer. So the apocalypse side of things, if we want to look at it in that way, it is the great revealing, isn't it? And then Pluto would appear to be the controlling factor in that arena. And she's about to enter Aquarius. Okay. And very naughty things tend to happen. So the last time it happened was 1777. French Revolution, blah, 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 big things. And that lasted until 1798. So it stays in there for a bit. And previous to that, we had 1532 to 1553. Now, let's get it right, guys. That's when England lost all royal rights, and we got the Tudors thrust on the old throne. So that's the one before 1532. So that's what we're going on there here in Blighty. But then at the same time, there were huge Prussian moves going on again there. So last one was 1532, 1553, then 1777, 1798, and now it goes 2023, 2044. So you can see that they're getting this new system in in line with what they're expecting. So basically, like the French Revolution, totally fomented and controlled through the Masonic lodges. That's provable fact. They have to make sure that they control all the organizations. So they've rallied up. They've got gangsters as one boy. You've got coppers. You've got all what police intelligence collects. You know, your criminals, all this nonsense. So they've now basically got that all under control. And of course, they need to do this before Pluto enters Aquarius. So it's rather interesting. Now, when it entered Capricorn in 2008, we got, so Capricorn's about money, isn't it? Generation of money and stuff. And that was 2008. So there is definitely, as Pluto does her work, especially these days as we are, she is the great revealer. And of course, people say it a lot, don't they? Say, well, we need outside help, blah, blah, blah. We need the creator to help as well. Have you ever given this some thought? Because it is quite important. Because if you're picking up on this stuff, like a lot of you are, and have been for a long time, you can see it as a gift, can't you? Because you're actually being given the opportunity to see what's going on. Not be told, as it were. You can, as you expand your awareness into different concepts, you begin to see it for yourself in whatever sphere you look for it. That's what actually happens. So, well, let's look at what's actually happening. Because up until these last 20 years, well, okay, let's go bigger time. Let's say to the beginning of Theosophy. It's what used to be secret, i.e. power, control of this place. Well, it's been put into the limelight. We can see them. Is that not a gift? It's not a gift if you're a coward and you want to run on a table and shoot someone, cry your eyeballs out. Because Mummy didn't teach you this. She said you had to play with dolls, dress in girls' clothes, and accept trans gingers and such. You're not going to make it in that sense. But if you've got some sense of what is and what isn't about you, it is a gift because it gives you the opportunity, does it not, to see and to move in a way that you feel you're going to have to move, whatever it is, whether that's just to protect yourself, your family, and try and maneuver through how it's going to go, or you want to oppose it. Now, to oppose it, as I said a couple of years ago in videos, it's in England, the opposing force to this stuff is classed as militia. That's what is the opposing force from the people on the land to bring to book these hoity-toits when they get a little bit too fucking, a little bit too, get down, cut all that. So that's what was set up back in the day, and it still stands today. Of course, people don't know this. Everybody's in a corporation called the UK, and the UK, of course, doesn't have all this kind of stuff. That's for England. It's the thing they're trying to overtake and overrun with everything, and they're doing it. Even the Lord Lieutenants are involved in the corporate little nest stuff now. It's a mockery of what was set up on the land and what's actually taking it over. They're just mocking it. They mock it at all points. And they can because not enough people are actually savvy and are recognising what's going on. So yeah, it's like, what is going down here? Well, we know it, don't we? But is this not the gift, the great revealer? Pluto, is she not giving us a gift? Is that not the help? So they are forced to reveal themselves so we can see them. Because if you can see what it is that's opposing you, you can strategize to deal with it. And law in this nation is available, but putting it into practice is a different kettle of fish altogether. And that, I think a lot of you out there have learned to your cost. I certainly have. But I wouldn't change it for for anything, because it's how I've learned what I've learned. So no regrets, just it's nice to get your head above water a little bit, now and again. But yeah, I think it is the gift. This is the gift. This is the outside out. So if you're into aliens, this is the aliens telling you, look, you can see the bastards, get them, hey, do something. Don't add them your kids. Don't do this. Don't. It's telling you, it's doing, going, whoa, Jesus. So if you're an alien buff, it's your aliens telling you. You're religious, it's your angels telling you. It's shame. Look, these are the demons. The demons we've been telling you about forever and ever in every film, history book, mythologies all over the shop. Whichever country you go in, we've been telling you. Well, there it is. It's here. And it's got faces like Tony Blair. Yeah. Yeah, we can see these numpties now. Yeah. So that maybe is the best way to look at this system and this situation, because you can't bury your head on the table here. This is coming and it's on. And I'm rather perplexed at the amount of, let's just say, lesser characters that the police force seems to have on tap. Because that's so embedded now, that ain't going to change, is it? Of its own fruition. You see, it's like, the next steps, if it's going to go as they've done in other nations, I'm not talking about in this scenario, but it gets to food shortages, military get on streets. Well, once they're on the streets, they ain't going anywhere, are they? So you'll be happy that they're first because they're giving you a service, but then it'll change to something else. The only way I see that this current Gestapo type police force that's been set up across the country is going to get dealt with is when the soldiers are on the streets and can see that who are these bunch of dicks. Do you know what I'm saying? That's providing that we still have English lads, Scottish lads, Welsh lads, and Irish lads that have a uniform and serve our monarchical crown, not this shit inner city. If there's enough of them lads in there, because I'm not expecting them to be at command level, The Zionist movement has had its claws into this military since Crimea, I mean, before that, Boer War even. Boer War, get mixed up. But I'd say since both. And when you've had it for that long, you've ensured command level is only that particular breed. So I have no faith in our command, but I do have a bit of faith left, hopefully, in our boys. So there we go. So where are we? Let's have a look. Balloon bouncers. What the hell's a balloon bouncer? What's one of them? Treachery. Oh, balloons. You can see them actually on flight radar map, the balloons that they put up for internet. Speaking of which, another topic I'd like to have a look at, which is, there's this, I think it's a university in Spain, La Quinta Columna, it's called. Now, I might be mistaken, it might not be a university. I'm not good with other languages, I'm useless at my own, to be honest. But that's by the by. That is an English negative, I have to say. So they've worked out that the graphene is actually it's a wave multiplying piece of kit. So because we're speaking of radiation, which is a wave format, then this thing amplifies your own personal, you could say, auric frequency. It's multiplier, so it multiplies it by quite a bit. Now, what they're saying now is, because a lot of people are a bit worried about this potential shed that might be going down. And to be fair, I've took great notice when I'm around people that I know have done the deed, and I've always found that those just addict do give off a real negative, and you pick that up. And then you have to get rid of it yourself out of your own field. But then I've also noticed that when you get past maybe a month or so, they don't seem to have that feeling. They might have snot, snivels, and all that shit, but they don't have that resonance, it would appear to me. I don't know whether that's the same for everybody, but that's just my so far experience. Now, what they're saying is, what you don't have to worry about is it being anything bacterial that's actually shedding. It's not. There's nothing. You're not catching something that's going to crawl up your nose and start eating your eyeballs from back. It's not happening. You know what I'm saying? It's not that sort of a shed. It's they start to emit. Oh, wait a minute. So when you ionize the waves with Geiger counter, so when they get to a certain point, that's it. Let me think. Because it's force multiplying this radiation wave of your auric field, it then becomes radioactive. So you're giving off. You're not just keeping it within your own bubble. It amplifies it and spreads it. So that's how people can feel it, which is interesting, I thought. But yet this is being measured on Geiger counters now. So we are dealing with radiation, and they're also in Spain seeing it on so many buildings now, and it's quite high. Now, I found quite a few years ago, actually, because I had a mate from being kids, and a bit of a bugger, but he was a good lad. And anyway, he ended up in America, and then he ended up moving to Spain, but I found out he was riddled with cancer. And so I looked into Spain quite a bit, and what I found was, and I was quite shocked, because I'd have thought here, for population, might have even beat America, that Spain was the biggest cancer number of people in the world. Spain. So what are they trying to do there? Are they emptying it? And they've been doing it with perhaps this, because it's, we're dealing with radioactive stuff here, and that noise, that I'm sick of that being now, because I never even noticed it until you lot started popping on about it. Well, I've tried to get it off, it won't come off. So I'm wondering, is it CIA won't let me get in it because they're spying on me? I don't know. I can't get in it. I've tried 18 times, and all that's going to happen is I'm going to demolish it. You know what I'm saying? It says really, it doesn't do it. It doesn't do what it's saying on the tin. Let me put it that way. Okay, so I'm trying, and every now and again I'll have another bash, but I never even noticed it ever until you lot started banging on about it. So I do apologise, because I know it bugs you, because it's in my comments, I get emails and everything about it. But the damn thing won't let me get in it to sort it out. So I'm wondering if it's NASA. It might be NASA. Wait a minute, what about the aliens? Do they use that kind of technology, the aliens? You know what I'm saying? It's not going on, I'll tell you that. It might be because I've just gone back to Chamber of Trade. So back at local politics, that's back on as well. Interesting. Let's have a look. Argentina news block. What is that from Australian news, or what's going on in Argentina? What's going on in Argentina? Does anybody know? It's only a fact. This is evil. I mean, this is everything that's going on is evil intent, isn't it? Let's be frank. Which is why I say it's false judgment, because everybody's being judged on how big the bodies, how big the lawyer is that you know, how much you know about law, how much you know about finance. Which brings me to another subject I'd like to discuss, and it's because I was listening to a Stanford lecture, funny enough, on schizophrenia. Not that I were interested, because I have studied schizophrenia in the past, and but this guy, I found he was talking about that's where I found him on a video where he was lecturing about trust the science. And basically what he did is pull apart all these scientists that have given us this, what we've got today. pointed out that they were mass murderers, that they've killed. Right, we'll not go into detail on it, but this is a Stanford professor, okay? And this is now, this year, he's doing these lectures. So basically, what he's saying is, or what the sort of, let's look at language, is basically what. Because I was watching it, and this came up, and I just thought, this is why I'm watching it. So basically, what, at the heart of the study of language, and he's referring it in relation to it going extinct, that there were signs that the language goes extinct before the next thing. And that there are 6,000 existing languages on the earth, but today only 10% of them are actually being spoken. How about that? So we're losing that and we're not aware of it. But basically, the general, the core structure of this knowledge is that all man has an inherent grammatical structure within him, right? So that means it doesn't matter if you're in China, Vietnam, Australia, England, France, wherever you are, the native populations going way back all have a very similar grammatical structure embedded in their being. So I'm listening to this and I thought to myself, so that means that the creation of these languages that they do, so for English, I'm ahead of myself. Now, the interesting interconnection on this data is that when they look for this similarity in this internal grammatical structure, it forms itself in the slang that every nation operates because the innate grammatical structure is always getting there quickest, right? It's communicating in an instant, not all this la-di-da garbage gives us law, gives us garbage, gives us slavery. So back to the other point, which is that, so you can understand now why they create these languages and form them in these words, because we don't know them. Because our innate capacity is to slang, because it's the quickest way to communicate with each other. And it's the same in every culture, in every single culture in the world. Now, the other interesting point, what she said, were, so I don't think anybody would argue today that we're living under game theory. Yeah? The whole fucking thing's a big game, isn't it? Let's be honest. They've created computer games and turned us into one, basically. Anyway, so that comes with the title game theory. And what I found, what were interesting was he said that once we came off the slang and they created languages, it gave the ability to tell lies. Shock fucking horror. Telling lies and creating a language. Didn't Greeks call that sophistry? I'm pretty sure they did. So basically, it just fits so well. And this is probably about 2 hours before we did this live stream, and I just watched this guy. Because he looked good, and he sounded very good in his other lecture. I thought, well, I'll just have a look at what he has to say on this. And even the bits on schizophrenia were very interesting too. Because the mere use of the word by the majority of people is the opposite of its actual meaning. If that intrigues you, you might want to just check it out. Now, the guy is called, what's he called? Professor Robert Sapolsky, and he's a Stanford uni guy. Just looks like an hippie, beard, the lot, but he's only 40 odd, not a no bat. And he puts his point across very well in whatever I've heard him say so far. So I just thought I'd run that shindig by you because that is exceptionally interesting. You know what I mean? So in essence, then, you could say that folks are generally abstract in their slang communication because it's more instantaneous than precision. No, I've got that wrong way around. Forget that last bit. I'll have to look at that again. I must have wrote that down a bit odd. But anyway, never mind. But just and then no, so that's some interesting data there for you to pick up on if anybody were interested in further in that. But so back to that graphene stuff. So basically, the shedding is not so much bacterial, so you don't have to shit yourself. Yeah, you don't have to wipe toilet with disinfectant, acid, and such. You're not shedding bacteria, so it's only when you're in the company. However, the negative aspect to it is can affect you and make you ill, which you would feel like you if you do when you go in any radiation scenario, it drains you. It drains you because it turns all you it just drain. I wonder if it's turning you positive because that's when it's dangerous. Anyway, I don't know. So, but yeah, and that's so. I've heard it said that they put in with a negative charge, but they can positive charge it with this Babylonian towers everywhere. The towers of Babel with loads of electricity that they need. So it's another good bit of shit there we've got up. I really talked all my stuff. Well, that's pretty good then, because sometimes it does get a bit boring and long, doesn't it? It's boring, stupid. Let's have a look. 777, you have to begin. Yeah. Everything, see now, Illuminati. A lot of people still really don't get it in this. They were a group set up that called itself the Illuminati. They based the format off the Jesuits. And basically, what it is, it's a system whereby it's a pyramid, basically. So let's say I'm the chief at the top, right, of the pyramid. So I then need two men here. Okay. This man here knows me. I know him. This man here knows me and I know him. But this man doesn't know this man and vice versa. Okay. They have no idea they each exist. They just know me and I know them in this scenario. I'm encouraging them guys to get themselves for sale of 4 people. Okay. Now in that 4, so it's me, 2 men now with 4 men. Okay. None of this side knows anything about this side and vice versa. Okay. The 4 men have no idea who I am. No idea whatsoever. Okay. None. And they might not even know each other. Are you with me? And down it goes. So the only man that knows everything that's going on is me. That is the Illumin system in the secret society arena. That's what they set up and called themselves the Illuminati because they could see, they were illumined. Yeah. So then from that point, as with the Jesuits who had already been doing it, because it was based off that, they installed their people in all the positions of power. And again, he doesn't know what he's doing. So the bigger picture isn't available to either. This is what secret societies do. And today, they're all operating in this kind of format because, apart from, the Vatican doesn't operate that way, but the Jesuits do. I don't know whether the Knights of Malta operate in that way or not, but I don't think they do, to be honest. I think the difference between them is this system's secret, because it has to be, that's its coin, is the secrecy. The other one has to show itself because it wants to parade itself, because it wants to help people feel secure. But can you see? So there are breeding versions between the Vatican system itself and all this secret system that's been took over it, basically. And we do have to, it is important that we differentiate between these things so we're not just foolishly removing things that can actually be used as tools, means of connections, networking, etc. It's so easy to just poo-poo everything. Well, I just hate everybody because I'm only this. What? What are you talking about, you lump? You can see what's on you. You can see it. It's not going away. They're going to go for it like you won't believe at some point. And it really does depend. You see, each time you fill in a form, each time you fill in something, you're giving them an idea as when they're ready to do it. Stop telling them what you're thinking. Unless you're on social media and you don't care, like me. I don't give a shit. I'm happy for people to know what I'm thinking. Because I'm not a secret society. Do you know what I'm saying? It doesn't mean to say I don't have secrets. Of course I do. We all do. Everybody does. But I'm not operating in a secret society way. You get what I'm saying? So that's that. So what's going down here now? Yeah, they are using secret. Oh, so that's 2023, the Pluto. Now, this is very interesting. And does, in fact, add further support as to reason why they need the Noahide system as rapid as possible. So, this is what's called a gas giant grand solar minimum alignment. All right, this is what this is called. And we have an interesting comparison in relation to Neptune, the Earth, the Sun. Basically, all the planets, never mind who's going through that, all the planets in 2024 to 2034 are in the exact same position as they were in 79 AD. A lot happened, didn't it, in that decade? From the destruction of the temple, as it were. So, interesting. Don't know what to make of that yet, but that's another astrological event that's on the horizon. And yeah, the occultists, they do work to this knowledge because, as I said in one of the previous videos, the occult knowledge is working on frequencies, and that certain alignments change certain frequencies, which birth new frequencies. And if you can capture these frequencies, you can manipulate these frequencies, you can join these frequencies, etc. And this is what a lot of the occult stuff is doing, you know. And so interesting. So that occurs 2024. And the last time it was 79 AD. So that's 9 years after the annihilation of the temple. So I don't know what to make of that, but it's interesting all the same. But you can see both these things are times of great change, usually because of revelations that people didn't know, all of a sudden we know. So of course then we can see through the media, they're controlling what people get to know, like it's a secret being revealed. And basically that secret that they're revealing is to annihilate everything that is yours. Your offspring, your property, your country, your religion, your assets. Yeah, so that system's telling you to attack your own. I think you get my drift, don't you? You know what I'm saying? So I mean, that's mind control, isn't it? Let's be quite frank about it. That's total and utter mind control with ease, especially with that boxing they're going out. It's like a mate of mine. One morning, I had a chat with him earlier, and we're admiring. He's got himself a battery-operated streamer, which I thought was quite nice because it's brand new as well. I thought that's a good tool. Anyway, so we were watching football one morning about England playing. He said they were shit. I said, well, you're watching football. I said, I'm watching a Stanford professor's lecture. And he's like, oh, yeah, okay. I said, so I'll let you get back to your shit. And I'll get back to mine. Anyway, just that's the difference. I'm watching shit like that. So you do actually learn stuff, because some of these guys are bloody clever guys. You know what I'm saying? They know their paradigm inside their head. That's why they're called professors. Not all of them, of course, but obviously when you're smart yourself, you can watch Alex Jones and gain everything from that show because you've got discernment. It doesn't matter what you watch, what you see, who you see. You can pull out the shit and cast it aside and still gain something from it, because they have to pump out something that's going to give you the gravy you're going to hook onto. You know? So, Ray, are you Ray? 77, yeah, that was you, was it? Okay, mate, how you doing? Creator work shows. Well, we are the creators in the image of, are we not? Huh? Yeah, you know, it's image. That's an important word, isn't it? Image, because a holographic image could also be said to be of something else, but it's an holograph anyway. I don't know, you know, and that the ether is the place in which the transmission of thoughts into manifestation takes place through electromagnetic frequency, and how it affects the ether when it's focused in a particular way. So that's where you get into all your tantrism, your tantric sex, where you are learning to raise your sexual energy, but keep it. It's especially for males. I mean, if you're totting off to all this porn all the time, you're just draining yourself of life force. Completely draining yourself of life force. So, people with, who's that? Jace Ventura, 2. Come on, people with that skill are being palmed off as mentally ill. Well, I'll tell you what as well, that while I was listening to this Stanford lecture, just the breakdown of what they're saying is schizophrenia did have me rather worried at one point, and I'll tell you for why. Because he said one of the signs of it that they look for first is they're not into abstract, they want precision. So that, in effect, would make every lawyer, every judge, a schizophrenic by the way in which they dissect the signs of schizophrenia, because they're saying it's not just one thing, it's a lot of things to be classed as schizophrenia or schizophrenic. But that sort of interested me a bit there, because if you're dealing in law, you have to be precise. You can't accept the abstract. So the Star Courts are using all the abstract to obfuscate the precision in the language, English, and then the Law Society. Yeah, back to the languages that we were discussing just there, Slang is our natural grammatical input, and then we all have it the same to get there quicker. And so when I can now, so just made me think, you can see now why they create these languages. So when you're looking in biblical and it's talking about some of the Lord, this is fucking Lord. Sorry for swearing, it's Sunday. This Lord fella comes in and quotes 70. Who's he? If he's not Baal. Because if they're creating languages like this, off our innate grammatical structure, no. These things have to be investigated deeper, I think, because we do. Well, I say we, I don't, if I can help it. I mean, I'm not. Well, I am fantastic and amazing, but I'm not perfect. So we do all make mistakes, but stuff like that, it just doesn't. There is no doubt when someone hits you as that's fact. Is it? There's no room for any doubt. You can quibble and toss about, and blah, 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 but the fact is the fact, and that's pretty much it. So if there's any doubt anywhere and stuff, and it has to be looked at and investigated, and think, well, you have to expel that. That's science, isn't it? Getting rid of, or it's scientific method, isn't it? Get rid of it by doing experiments until you're left with the truth, the reality of something. People with that, yeah. But yeah, it could be worrying that they could label you as potentially schizophrenic for insisting on correct grammar. Keep that in mind, people. Because like I said, I want to just to sort of grasp this. I've only been watching this guy today, so it's and that was a couple of hours before. So these are only concepts that came as soon as I watched. I just thought, ooh, because they are saying now, haven't they? They've changed it to one doctor to have to get you whisked off into a loony bin. And I've first-hand experience of a friend very recently. I haven't gone through that. They are not funny. To say the least, they're not clever. But they do seem, some people within this NHS do seem to have a license to do what the hell they want with you when you're a patient. As a duty occur? No, don't think so. What duty of care of what? Maybe the correct question. Entomology of find something happened this person evil deed. Yep. Does you see this recognized spiritual warfare? Well, I think this is the gift. Do you know what I mean? I mean, it wasn't in your face 30 years ago. It was going through the mystery school where I saw that was my wake up call. You know what I mean? It was like, but now people that just really have never had the inclination to look at any of this stuff or anything outside what they think they know. This is the problem for them. It's just a major shock. It's just boom, all come at once. They're paralysed. Whereas at least if you've been savvy with this stuff, it's still a shock because it's actually going down. I mean, let's not pretend otherwise, but you're at least ready for it because it's not a surprise in the sense that you've been studying it for God knows how long. So it's not a shock to you. But you think about these people, it's just a total complete shock to them. They've never even envisaged that evil exists anymore. It's just so ridiculous. Now it's on your doorstep. Yes, well, of course it still exists, the Illuminati, but it's a system. Whoever's heading it, who knows? But Byzantium, I'm telling you, so much we don't know about Byzantium. And Rome, we know what its empire is blasted all everywhere because that's what they're trying to destroy. But then, really, what did we ever know what were going on to the side of Byzantium? No, we didn't. I think they've been doing so much over there. It's not good. It really isn't, because there were a lot of slave trading going on from them areas back in the day. And that seems to be upon us again. And now they're specifically putting power in that landmass, the northern part of Siberia. And they call it, what do they call it? They call it the land power. So it's from to the side of Himalayas from India. So basically Europe and China even are all blocked out of it. This is like a new country completely that they're talking about creating. And that what we see today as Europe through to India, through China, etc., is called the Rhineland. Sorry, not Rhine. I do apologise, my German comrades. It's I don't like that word, comrade. Pals, mates. Rimland. My apologies. And then the sea power protecting that. And even Africa's not classed in within it. Australia isn't. Indonesia and that isn't. And none of the Americas, Canada is involved in it. I mean, what's that? And I don't think England is it. No, England's white too. So we're going to get cast out. So according to this Mackinder's Heartland theory, which was set up in 1904, and I did flash it on the end of one of my videos for you, it's classed as the world island. Whoever commands that commands the world. But there's no colour code for the white, as though they're not in it. It's like we're not in it. We're not part of it. Yeah. Never mind. So that's why I brought out the Genghis before. I just thought there's more going on here than we are aware of. Far more going on. And yet I feel it's being revealed slowly, because just by nature of the fact we can see that they're putting so much power in these places. It's Fat Henry. And why would they be installing this in the middle of nowhere? What do you mean by that? I don't know. Are you talking about something completely different to what I was? Let me ask you to stop the parade. No. The Illuminati was set up on behalf of. You've really got to understand that. I think during wartime, you may get societies that come together that aren't necessarily controlled. But then at the end of the wars, the politics that play out after the who's allied who, what were, and then everything gets carved up. Generally, if you've created a group or a society in some kind of extreme circumstances, that when the peace arrives, then you would by nature, definition of the nature of your thing, ally yourself, and that's how they work. You see, they let things be set up, like Zionism. They allowed that to be set up, but they've took it over. Now, let's look at what we are told is happening in Israel. Now, is it happening? Is it really happening? Or is it just another scam to have the world think that we all have to have it? I don't know. I was listening to a guy earlier in the week who suggested that he thinks it's a complete and utter con, that nobody in Israel is being jabbed with the actual thing, the bug one. So I don't know, because you don't seem to hear much about what's actually going on over there, to be frank. So I don't know. Maybe I should have a little look, but I already know what's going on in Israel. I don't really need to keep looking in there. You know what I mean? And there's nothing good about it all, is there? It's rubbish. In and around Wakefield, where I live, all the towers are installed where people. Yeah, I've noticed that the big ones. Yeah. But if what's being presented and it's looking pretty good, these systems are going to be set up so that once you've got this interface inside you, locally. Now I don't know whether I've way back I've spoken about how all the social media platforms. See, everybody goes on about Zuckerberg. So forget that. It's just a face for this monster that exists in every nation. And in my town, the social media systems here in this catchment area are controlled from a place called Globe. The Globe Centre, the top 2 floors, MI5. Okay, they're into everybody's social media locally. That's how it works. They're the ones interfering, not Mark Zuckerberg. And that's in every area. And the centre of that, including the surveillance going on in the schools, is in my location, Lancaster University. So they create an intel hub, and then around it, they seem to be building universities today to cover it, and it gives them access to all the pupils, all the thing. So that's what's going on with the university big builds when they're building these big new buildings. We're paying for it. Basically, it's just to surround what is an intel hub. Lost my train of thought there, but yeah. So what they're saying is that locally, then this system would give this same bunch they can target you wherever you are in the town. And the LED lights, they're more worrying, I think. If anything, they're looking like the most dangerous side of this thing. If they are actually creating a ley line across your front of your house, you've had your Virgin cables all put in across front of your house, haven't you, when lockdown started? I don't know whether that's the same as the LED lighting system, but the LED lighting system is actually creating its own frequency ley line right across the front of your house. Now, a lot of people are getting fatigued, especially females seem to be really suffering from something that gives them fatigue and aching bones, etc. And I've spoken to a few. I've mentioned what I know about or what I've seen about, not necessarily what I know, but what I'm looking at in relation to that system. And I'm saying, can you see back and see when it started for you? Is there a correlation between when they changed them to that and you having these symptoms? So there's no data to come back on that yet, but we have to look at this, what's hidden, and everybody's looking over here, and it's this that they're setting up in all nations, and they're going to be controlled by your own people. You know what I'm saying? We're looking at enemies of the nature, blah blah. I know it's going on, but really, it's at your door. It's at your door, and there's not much going on to stop it at the moment. But I'm just watching Australia, and I'll tell you the template for the next game and what they're going to be using. You need to start looking at other ways to communicate people, because at the drop of an hat, they can do what they've just done to Aussies. Doesn't matter what you get set up; they'll just wreck it. Unless you've got your own service somewhere outside, that can communicate. They're not going to be able to get into. You can have all your email accounts off that. You can set up messages, forums, whatever, as long as you control it, and that you're not giving them access to it in any way, shape, or form to collect data or whatever. And you can do it that way. But it's. I mean, I'm looking at all options at the moment, because that is a great move. That if they've got capacity to actually do that, take full control over everybody's social media and your messages, so that they either change them, they've been changing them, so they're in there changing the message that's going to somebody else. So if they're expecting a message of Rubber Duck, you know what I'm saying? And Rubber Duck gets a message saying, no, don't do it, go home, get your feet up, lad, it's all finished. Can you see what I'm saying? So that's what it looks like they've been doing in Australia on the truckers' shindig, I say. Yeah, it's not just in Wakefield, my good man, it's everywhere. They're doing it all over the shop. Yeah, it's... Thank you, Jace Ventura. So I need to start spanking the monkey. Well, listen, I'll tell you what you need to do. Because I know most of you lads out there, you're so fucking bored. You're just plodding onto all sorts of nonsense. But yeah, you do. And if you give yourself a week off, you watch your energy levels go through the roof. I kid you not. You watch your energy levels go through the roof. It'd be like you took testosterone, Just try it. You don't have to take my word for it. You don't have to take my word for anything that I said. We're on here. I like the live streams because we can interact, and that's nice. It's always better if people are interacting. Maybe we need to start looking at setting something up that we can interact properly a bit better. So anybody got any ideas, just send me an email. Yeah, so let's start thinking like that, because we do need to start coming together, I think, a bit more and communicating a bit better, because the thing is, what I've learned this year is in the private. It's how to operate in the private. So it can't go in the public. It can't. It's not one of them machines. Which for me is, I weren't expecting it to turn this way, because I were expecting to be just throw it all out, but it can't be done, because it's working out. It's learning how to operate in the private. However, as soon as I get my shit together in order, I will definitely offer a full teaching to those who think they can grasp it, that we can teach this properly. So how that's going to be achieved, I don't know. So I've come to the realization, prompted of course by my tutor, but it is a private system. It's working in the private, and you couldn't. The minute you put it in the public, it would lose its privacy. It would no longer be in the private. So it's a dilemma for me, because I thought we would be able to just throw this out, but that is just unfortunately, not to be. Which is why, if you're all waiting to hear things and blah blah blah, you're not hearing anything. It's not that there's not lots to say. There's loads to say. It just can't be put in the public, unfortunately. So another method needs to be worked out where this can be taught properly, because it isn't a game, and we will weed out any. We will not waste any time with anybody that really we don't believe will get it, because it's a precious thing and it has to be protected as much as it has to be used, as it were. So there's lots to be said, but it just can't be said on here. So I do apologise for that. But any ideas in that respect, how I can create some kind of mechanic to where I can teach properly? Again, send me an email. I'd love to hear from you, because we can't keep just talking about things anymore. Things have to start being done. Yeah, well, interestingly, with schizophrenia, it's completely opposite to what people think. Nothing like it at all. And it did give me a little bit of a worry that they could definitely utilize that label if you started to use the precision you require, especially as a free man. The free man stuff, you really don't, you've got to get off it. You've got to get off it. You've got to get off that shit. It's a trap. And they've set the system up. And the minute they get you, it's like you're getting nothing. Absolutely nothing. You really need to get a grip of that and understand it. And that's the big problem. You don't want to communicate in that way, in any way, shape, or form to these people. You've already been labelled. Bumped. You're done. You forget it. But there are people who are still moving around and are having some little successes along the way. Maybe we can discuss that down the line, but then of course that's not my call. But we have had some rather interesting things going down. So look, my old handle on my first. I don't know how to say that. I'm on Uthorn. Well, one doctor plus a social worker. A social worker? Have you seen some of these social workers? Are you for real? Most of the social workers today that are left at Tavistock, all of them at command level. All of them, Tavistock. I mean, I know what was an high-level social worker, and she's left in disgust. No, I know what's been going on, what's going on, and I'll tell you what it is. Tavistock, basically, if you have a position, or if you had a position 10, 15 years ago, even in existing social services, you were recruited through Tavistock, and you became a completely different animal. Let's just put it that way. So that's even more worrying. Okay, now. So we do have to keep in mind on that, just specifically on that. Schizophrenia is a way that they can run you riot if you get to. And you've got to stay on point. Whatever you do, it has to be on point. You can't do loose association. You can't be running off all over the show. If you're in that game, you have to be consistent in what you're saying. Especially because now you've got this nonsense that they can pull in and say, oh, you're a schizophrenic. What? So, yeah, be aware. Well, that's always been the case, can't they? People who believe absurdities will commit atrocities. Because if you believe in absurdity, you're already in that capacity yourself, let's be frank. Yes, Sparky Lee, thanks, mate. All's well. Thank you. Surveillance leaders of folk. Is that an abbreviation? Is that alphabet title? Really? Well, they could do on forums, I suppose. Well, I think the way that they've done forums, let's be honest, with CJD, foot and mouth. I mean, they slaughtered our entire cattle stock. I mean, the farmers up Lake District that went bust, that had been there for hundreds of years back to Doomsday Book, annihilated them and all Occult bought it. That were going on in front of, I was screaming my little ass off about it. And back then I was doing it physically, I weren't just doing internet. Nobody gave a toss. Nobody cared. It was just so stupid. You know, and the farmers, I mean, the farmers are the key to this country, to be honest. If you're there to grow, you know how to fucking grow, you've got the land. Just forget this bunch of dicks and get cracking. We'll buy off you. Who wants to go to supermarkets? Come on. That's another thing in local towns. We need to start getting our farmers on side, because whether they want to, I mean, they might each between them grow a product, farm a cattle. If we're going to buy, forget the middleman, because they're dictated to by the supermarkets. Forget the middleman. Just let's open up business between the growers and the farmers as people again. That's how we always, as villages, start. Somebody do this, somebody do that, somebody grow that, somebody build that, somebody dig that. You know, and then exchange we use, which there's nothing wrong with using exchange. Silver and gold for exchange, isn't it? There's nothing wrong with accumulating wealth at all. But it's what you do with it, isn't it? It's what do you spend your energy, what do you give your energy to? Whether that's in your physical existence or what you spend, you know? We are in control. We are the masters of our own destiny. But today, the convenience things killed everything. People can't even be asked to go to a cash machine. Oh, I can't cash. Oh, I don't want to put my hand in my pocket for cash. What? You know, and they don't even realise that just beyond primary school, they're back to baby. Oh, mummy, do this. It's just, come on, people. Not you guys. I know you guys are a bit hardcore, but that's what we're up against, isn't it? These numpty people that just really don't think. Well, I don't know. I just think the farms, maybe more than anything, have been annihilated through DEFRA and the vaccination programs. And as Mark Purdy said, and got killed for this, the CJD were created because DEFRA made them put organophosphates on the spines of all the cattle. Maybe 1 or 2 years, or maybe even 3 years before they announced its outbreak. So, yeah, let's just... And they killed him. You're under attack by a lawyer who is a member of the Australian Institute for International Affairs, working for someone trying to take my home. Are you an activist, my good man? Yes, because, oh yeah, they'll target you all day long. If you speak against it, move against them, they're on you. You have to take that on board, because they don't mess about. Yeah, common law is public. Look, people do get misunderstood in the common law. Common law is case law, it's English common law, it's where you get your constitution from, the Magna Carta, the Bill of Rights, the Coronation Oath, etc. That's English common law. It's the law of the land. But the ultimate law, because of the fact these nations are built on biblical, is the Ten Commandments. Everything else is a commentary on it. Nothing else. They're not law. If it breaches the Ten Commandments, it's not God's law. It's garbage. It's the system created by man to get away from the Ten Commandments through clever argument in words and rhetoric. You know, that's what this and here today we are with the legal system. The inverse of the creation's laws, but again, the Ten Commandments have been changed. I know it. They have. They have been changed, and I think it's not just the one on maybe land. I think they've changed the whole, maybe the definitions of things, so we're at a disadvantage. So instead of working for us, they work for Pharaoh, as Sean, what's he called? Sean Ross is apt to say quite often that the Pharaoh's laws, yeah, they've changed them, and I think they have, because the rabbis do actually say that it wasn't do not murder, it was do not kill, which makes sense in under natural law. I.e., somebody comes in your house with a gun, you're going to take it off them and stick it up their ass, and you're not really going to be caring whether you kill them or not, are you? Let's be frank about it. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, and I know people that have killed, but in defence, and there's no spiritual that I'm aware of. And I'm aware when somebody has a spiritual doom on them, I can sense these things. But I do know people that in that kind of thing, there's no spiritual sin to them, is what I'm saying. So maybe the rabbis are actually right, and I've made issue with that in the past. But you know, now I'm looking with new eyes at even the Ten Commandments, because ultimately, if they've doctored them, which I'm pretty sure they have in a way that, like Sean Ross says, they become the opposite of what they are. Yeah, this is why we're in such a mess. You know, it's why we're in such a mess. Well, the English common law is about property. That's its original premises, and arbitrating, so they didn't keep killing each other. The best of the best didn't keep killing each other in duels and such. They, you know, it was just ways to arbitrate issues on property, land. Yeah, that's where you get it. You know, you're looking at its origins. It's just how to arbitrate arguments, specifically to do with goods, property, land. Hello, everyone beyond Enigma. Yeah, public. Yeah. As soon as you go public, you're in the game. Look, it's what I said to you before. So your entry of birth is your first move off man into title. By all accounts, it's your credit account because it doesn't have the surname. The secondary title is the birth certificate, and that, because the surname's on it, turns it into a debt ledger, and they then get you to identify as that, or to claim that you own it. You committed fraud, you're in trouble, because it's a ship, it's a vessel, which is why you stand in a dock. You've docked your vessel on their ship. You're on their ship, their rules, not yours. Which is why, back to what we were saying before, it's important that you peel back everything you know and start to work out that you need to declare who you are. So first of all, you need to work out who you are. Who are you? Yeah. Once you've worked out who you are, you need to work out how you can present that in a written form. Yeah. And then that's your statutory declaration. Then, like they do, they set up this system and say, these are our rules. You come and contract with us, this is what you're going to have to do. You misappropriate anything or do anything wrong. And that's attached to the person, the legal person that they own. So as soon as you identify as that, you're in their game. So then you have to set up, so you said you are, start there. I'm this. And you have a charge schedule which says I'm not this. Because it's saying if you do this, if you do that, if you do this, if you do that. And this is what you make yourself. So you need to start addressing who you are. Yeah. Now, man is by far the supreme because you are in the image of our creator. It doesn't get any higher than that, does it? Yeah. So that's why the term man is the best. And if you don't like biblical or anything like that, then first recognize that you don't like the mishmash, the commentary on it. That's what you're not into because it sends you around twist. Though I'm not saying there isn't a concurrent stream within it, but what I'm saying is, if you're looking for what did the Creator say I had to do, then you only need to look at the Ten Commandments. That's it. However, as said, it does look like they've changed them as well, which is no wonder we're in this cockle, because all these scholars for centuries that have been studying Ten Commandments have been studying them wrong. How are you going to get? You're never going to get to the bottom of it. You're always going to be dependent on Caesar to tell you. Anyway, but you get me drift, don't you? Look, the thing about the law, the common law, is that it's not about right, wrong. What I'm saying is this. In this nation, we have a format by which what it is we're trying to achieve can be achieved. But for that to happen, you have to get this. You have to get the state to act in the correct manner, the manner that will bring this jurisdiction on the table and be enforced. So the English common law, it's good stuff because if you use it correctly, it will do what you want it to do. But you're on a battle because here they're all star courts. Yeah. So these judges that you're being sent, they're not judges. They're not judges. A court of record, according to William Blackstone, has to be any court that can issue a fine or a prison sentence. It has to be a court of record because that creates the body of law, is what they're saying. If there's no record of it, you have no body of law. They're making it up as they see fit. That's your star chambers, your star chamber courts. That's where you're all going. Yeah. And I actually got a court of record in January. Weren't a real judge. They were a court of record because they were checking the notes. But if he weren't a judge, who's that? Which, of course, we are busy investigating. So there's a lot, like I said, there's loads going on as far as what's happened since that I got arrested. It's just lots of things are still ongoing. I've got questions that need answering and they're not being answered, etc. There's a lot of that stuff going on. But it's not, it's ongoing. So we're not going to discuss it because you have to play the game to a point because you've entered another game, another set of rules. And once you know them rules, and as long as you operate within them rules, you've got what it is you want. They have to recognize that then. It's as simple as that. Well, it's not as simple as that, let me be frank. It's been bloody an immense task for me. It's a good job I've got a rather placid tutor, to say the least. But yeah, formats are going to have to think of a way that I can actually put it into, so I can teach it, because it cannot be put into the public. So I'll say this, and we will weed them out, but anybody that wants to go down that path, you would be consistently showing that you are worthy of it. Otherwise, it would debase it. And we're not debasing it. I'm sorry. It's not being debased. So, it's not all over, and it's not like I might have gone quiet, but it's actually not my nature. I wanted to teach you all what I'd found, but you can't. It's a private thing. He is I as king and deals on my level. I wrote, Exactly. And again, the way you communicate is so important. I think people forget that, when you get a letter and you open it, before you've read it, you feel it, don't you? You can feel the energy of it. If you write anger, what are you sending through post? You're communicating anger. Well, that's gonna, it's gonna be absorbed by the recipient. You've already set the atmosphere of the communication. It's really important that you. Well, the best way it was described to me is coming from a standpoint of peace. Even if, so you're writing somebody, even if you're thinking, dear you absolute piece of wank shit, yeah? Even if that's what you're thinking, you'd have to put, what do you say? Hope all is well with you. Now, we know you don't mean that, but you don't want to put that energy of, you absolute bastard, I hate you. You don't want to put that energy in there, do you? No matter what you're thinking it, you don't want to communicate that. You want it to be all flossy and furry cake. It's another tip. These are tips I'm giving you. If you're serious, you'd be collecting these tips. If you're not, what can I say? You've got to change your whole attitude, your whole presence if you're going to operate in the private properly. You don't want no misfits. No room for anarchists in the private. Because the anarchists won't want you to be private. Do you get my drift? Just think Native American, peace. Go from that angle. Even if you're infuriated inside, don't burst that on. Do not communicate that energy. Yeah, use proper English, and it's in the right frame, it will be accepted. And then if they start coming the penis, then you just got to know how to reverse that, which is the teaching, as it were. But remember that, the Bible itself is a commentary on the Ten Commandments. The Gospels at the core, because there's nonsense in Gospels, they've been changed. At its core is in support of the Ten Commandments. Anything that goes off that, even in the Gospels, then I say to you, the man didn't say it. Somebody else said it. Or somebody else said he said it. Or thought he said it. Or thought that's what he meant, I wouldn't trust anybody after I've died to tell you what I meant. And I mean that. I mean that like you wouldn't believe. I know no man or woman that I would trust to tell you what I mean. Do you get what I'm saying? It doesn't mean I'm an expert at getting my point across. I think I'm pretty good at it, otherwise I'd give up. But even so, I'll usually watch a video back once, and then I'm sick of my own. I'm sick of the size of my nose, because that has grown. I'm telling you now, it never used to be that big. So I'm sick of the sight of myself after about 10 minutes. But I do force myself to watch it in case I've done some major bloopers. Anyway. Yeah, well, it is. It's all magician spells. It's all magic spells with words. And as we've said, our innate grammatical structure is to the slang in all nations, which is so all slangs. So what they've done is pull together the slang, and they're all the same in their own language, shortening it and just straight there, which I thought were pretty spiffy stuff, to be quite honest. So if you take your birth certificate serial number and go to treasurydirect.gov. Is that in UK? That's pretty interesting. That's very interesting. I might just... so we just try that. Treasury Direct. Oh, form 1522, special form request. Now then, this might be interesting. Right, so it does come up. So, treasurydirect.gov, good piece of data there. I'm going to have a check that out at some point. But I've done it with the national insurance number, and there were two accounts. One were worth, when I first got to it, which would have been not last year, year before, I think. One were worth 22 million, two were worth 17 billion, not million, billion. And then in 3 months, one had gone up to 24 billion, and the other had gone up to 18, nearly 19 billion, something like that. And that's all the companies putting bonds and liens against your national insurance account. So I know about that one. But Treasury Direct, people check that out. That'd be interesting. We can pursue that a bit, I suppose, and make sure people understand that. Apparently, a deal can be set in place. It will be liquidated. Do it. No. Yeah, killing the creditor. Who said that? James Ventura. Yes, this is what we sorted out with the occupation stuff and the killing of the creditor. That's what war is. So they're killing the next generation because they're the ones potentially that are going to wake up and claim their estate back. So when we get to these points, it's killing the creditor before they wake up and realise that they owe us a shitload of money. They owe us our inheritance, our estate. And your estate, I mean, God, people used to say, well, I can get cash. I'm like, your estate cannot be paid out in cash. That's not what it is. Anyway. I must be missing a lot of questions. I do apologise, guys, if I'm missing questions. Yeah, if you do, just put them underneath after, and I will have a look. Just somebody's asked a question. Well, let me just see if I can find it. Oh, she has to log off, Nina. Sorry about it. I need to get a bit. Do they use cash? Less and less, since they've got all this Just Eats in, and this let's all be fat, lazy bastards and not get offsetty and order our takeaway. Let's order our McDonald's. Come off it. But it's massive. Just Eats, whatever they call all these shag bags. So no, unfortunately, cash is getting less and less. I always use cash. I mean, I do use my card occasionally for big purchases, but in general terms, I'll draw money out and just spend it everywhere. Because that way, nobody has a clue what you've done with your money anyway. Beyond Enigma. Who's Beyond Enigma? Who are you, Joe? As a general rule, I don't subscribe to channels. That's not me being nasty. It's just I subscribe to people that give me something really important because then I want to see whatever's coming up. Doesn't mean I'm listening to everything they do, but if they give me something that's a bit out there and I can check it out, then I'll subscribe so that I don't have tons coming up in my feed. Do you know what I'm saying? I just try and make sure because it can get a bit overwhelming sometimes when you try and you're off to different subject matter. And I'm murdered for that sometimes. I can go off in all sorts of. So I have to try and streamline the way that I actually operate these days, because I'm not giving it 24/7 like I used to do. I mean, I used to do this 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. There was never a point apart from when I run toilet, having something to eat, having a shower, a shopping, a walking, that I weren't face in this. Now, my face is in this all the time and what at work. But at the moment, I'm not so much doing anything physical. I'm just absorbing. I'm absorbing. It's quite interesting where some of these things lead me as well. So it's working quite well for me at the minute, that. Yeah, they are. The Bible. Well, the algorithm, because it's a commentary. It's There's no substance to it in relation to law. It's just discussing. They're not actually, but people have took it as a system and created a system and then said, that's it, God said. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. He said 10 commandments. Put them in box, got. I'm off. I'm raving. That's what he said. I heard him. He said, here, got, let me yours. I'm off. I think you were going to watch Paul Van Dyke. Because when they say that's God is DJ. So anyway, you know what I'm saying. If he strikes me with lightning when I'm asleep, you know why. So there's only one reality. And that's this moment, this moment, this moment, this moment, this moment, this moment. That's the only place we're supposed to play. You look at any child, you look at any little bird, all it's doing is doing. There's not tossing about, it's doing. Babies, children, they're doing. They're not projecting the future, they're not dragging it past, they're in the moment. And nature is full of that. You know what I'm saying? Especially insect, little birds. Bigger birds you get a bit more cute, aren't they? But as you get smaller, they're just like ants and bees. Just do. They do. There's no sat down having a brew and tossing about watching telly. They just do. And we miss it. We all miss the moment because we're either dragging a big pile of shit or we're projecting out there into La La Land. Gematria. Oh, yeah. Well, if you want to understand, if you want to trace the occult and the movements, you've got to have the gematria. Can't reach the site. Which site? Well, I have. Oh, I haven't tried the site. I just got the. I'll look at that later. For if you're talking about the treasury. Tom Boyne has some real interesting videos on the site regarding this agenda being in the realm of the law of commerce, and it is in the law of commerce. It's all admiralty. We're looking at Phoenicians here, guys. You know what I'm saying? The Treasury Direct thing is a non-starter. Okay. I'll check that out. Like I said, I've not come across that before, but it did come up as a government thing. They went everything electric so they could shut it down and control you anytime they want. Well, didn't Lucifer say control man? He'd take over man through electricity. Well, didn't the word say that? They want everything electric, yeah. Christian remedy and law. Well, yeah, I mean, that's what Jesus was giving you, a remedy. Well, I did go on it and it didn't do anything. Right, chaps, we've done a 1.5 hours. I thank you for taking the time to listen to me rumble. And I wish you all the best for the coming week. I believe we've got 3 days of hot weather. How fantastic is that? So, thanks for joining me. And it's been a pleasure to chat. I'm going to have to get better at looking at these messages because I'm missing too many. So, with that in mind, I will say till the next time.